Good afternoon, South Africa. The people of our country have every reason to feel let down by the failed political establishment. Those in government have lied to us. They have failed to deliver, and they have enriched themselves at every opportunity. Those in the opposition benches have presided over the collapse of our country, more interested in being in opposition than being a real alternative. In this elections, South Africans have the opportunity to change their vote to a new political party, because the change we seek as a country can never come from doing the same thing. Action SA towers above all other new political parties. We have contested the 2021 local government elections and emerged as the 6th largest party in South Africa, despite only contesting in 6 municipalities. But it is not this alone that sets Action SA apart. At a time in which South Africans have every reason to doubt what political leaders say, the only thing that they can count on is what political leaders do. Look around at the leaders of political parties in South Africa. Most of them have never worked a day in their life in government. Those leaders who have worked in government with a track record have proven only that they cannot govern, or that they cannot govern in the interests of all South Africans. Herman Mashaba's track record in Johannesburg stands above all others. And under his leadership, Johannesburg began to get better. As you consider the following achievements from Herman Mashaba's mayoralty in Johannesburg, I invite you to imagine these changes being delivered right across the length and breadth of our country. A former Scorpion was appointed to head an anti-corruption unit that investigated over 6,000 cases of corruption, totaling more than 6 billion rand and affecting more than 700 arrests. The Metro Police Force was increased by over 1,500 officers overnight, and a police presence could be felt in the streets of Johannesburg. A specialized K9 narcotics unit was established to wage war with the dealers and distributors of drugs, while the first substance abuse facilities were opened to treat the victims of substance abuse. 2 billion rand was redirected from the luxuries of travel, self-promotion and consultants, and redirected to basic service delivery and improving the reliability of electricity, water and our roads. Facilitated investment in the city increased from 4 billion rand to 17 billion rand in just 3 years. And a program of reclaiming hundreds of hijacked buildings from criminal syndicates provided low-cost affordable accommodation to people close to work opportunities. Clinic and library hours were extended. Record numbers of title deeds were issued, and the city began the biggest program of providing service stands to thousands of families so that they could build their own homes. A memorandum of understanding was signed with trade unions that removed the role confusion between government and trade unions that had crept in, and forged a platform for stable labor relations so effective service delivery could be provided. More than 6,000 security guards and cleaners who had long been abused by the tenderpreneurs of the ANC were insourced, giving them dignity and fair treatment and taking control of the protection of our city's infrastructure. 20 informal settlements were electrified, including Kliptown. That's right, Kliptown. It took Herman Mashaba to electrify the birthplace of the Freedom Charter 23 years into democracy. There is little that I can say that these achievements do not convey about Herman Mashaba and Action SA and the track record in government that South Africans can count on when they go to the polls on the 29th of May. Imagine with me, just for one moment, this kind of leadership in national government. Imagine corruption being fought, actual prosecutions for state capture, the ranks of our police swelling, an economy growing under the leadership of someone who has created jobs, the first real alternative to BEE, the lights staying on, the water flowing from the taps. As you imagine the kind of South Africa that we could be, ask yourself, who do you see as the leader that will deliver the change that will start the work to fix South Africa? It's Herman Mashaba. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce the next speaker, who is the star of this Action SA TV advert, Vuyo Kamba. He is not an actor. He is a resident of Meriteng, an informal settlement in Johannesburg, and he is here to tell you about how Herman Mashaba changed the lives of the people in his community. Political leaders with a track record in government do not need actors to tell the story of their delivery. They can rely on real people and real communities to share their testimonies. We are honored for Vuyo to be with us here today and to share his belief about why Herman Mashaba is the leader to deliver the action that will fix South Africa.
Thank you, National Chairperson Michael Beaumont. It is an honor to be here today. I joined Action SA because out of all the political parties in South Africa, Action SA is the only political party that I know can fix our country. It is only political party that can improve the lives of me and my family. It is the only political party that cares for forgotten community, like the one I live in Finetown and Meriting. I am saying this because I saw firsthand the difference Herman Mashaba made in the city of Johannesburg as a mayor of Johannesburg. He was the first mayor in the city history to give electricity to Finetown and Meriting. Today, people in my community know what it feels like to boil water or put on the lights because of Ntate Mashaba. While other political leaders spoke about doing things, Ntate Mashaba took action to make change happen. He didn't just sit in a comfortable office, but walk the street of my community to experience the reality on the ground. That is why I'm proud to be a part of Action SA television advert. I hope that by sharing my message, other South Africans will be convinced to give Action SA a chance this year. This year, let's take action to remove the ruling party and take action to fix South Africa, because only action will fix South Africa. It is my honor to introduce the president of Action SA, Herman Mashaba, Mr. Fix It.
Good afternoon, South Africa. In August 2020, we launched Action SA to offer South Africans hope in the face of the overwhelming challenges we face as a nation. We spoke of a new future for our country, filled with deep sense of conviction and the promise that we will emerge from the depth of our despair and enter a new era of prosperity. Almost 4 years later, our resolve is stronger than ever. As I stand before you today, I remain convinced that we can and will fix South Africa. You have just heard from Mr. Vuyo Gamba, a resident of Finetown in the city of Johannesburg. Finetown and neighboring Meriting are very close to my heart. During my time as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, I had the privilege to provide this community with electricity for the very first time. This was a very deeply moving experience that deepened my desire to see change in South Africa and fix the country we so love. Leading a city of 5 million people is no easy task when all is well. But the challenge of serving as the mayor of one of the most unequal cities in the world profoundly changes one's perspective on life and society. On the one hand, Johannesburg is home to Sandton, what many call the richest square mile in Africa. But literally just down the road from Sandton City, one finds Alexander, where too many residents still live without access to even basic services. The community of Meriting was not different. Like so many communities across South Africa, it was excluded from the promise of a better life for all. In 2017, this community received electricity for the very first time, 23 years after our transition to democracy. That is why this moment was so moving for me. I felt proud that my administration could achieve something that those before us had neglected to do for so long. I was humbled to see the appreciation of people like Vuyo, who could make tea with an electric kettle for the first time and flip switch to bring light to their homes. But it was painful to think that despite the change we have brought to Meriting, so much more remained to be done, not only in Johannesburg, but across South Africa. Unfortunately, the plight of Meriting was not an exception. In that same year, we also electrified Kliptown for the first time, where ironically, the Freedom Charter was first adopted in 1955. Kliptown too had been forgotten. But I don't say this just to dwell on the failure of the past. It is easy to do so. What I want to do is to prove an alternative. Instead, I say this to demonstrate that we don't have to accept the legacy of the past. The electrification of communities like Meriting and Kliptown are proof that there's a better alternative. Hope is not lost. Change is possible. If we have the willpower and dedication to take action for change, we can make progress as a country. My fellow South Africans, from the onset, Action SA wanted to be different. We did not want to be a party of words. We didn't want to be a party of promises, but wanted to be a party of action. A party where through our actions, we can show what is possible. Being part of change that we brought to Johannesburg between 2016 and 2019 is what inspires me to do this difficult job on a daily basis. In the roughly 3 years of my administration, we started to fix Johannesburg's and reverse the decline under the previous administrations. Including Meriting and Kliptown, we provided over 10,000 households with electricity for the very first time. We provided over 11,000 ablution facilities to those without sanitation. We insourced over 6,000 security guards and cleaners, giving them the dignity of a permanent employment. And we reclaimed the inner city by handing over 154 properties to the private sector for mixed-use development. This unlocked 32 billion rands in investment, creating 21,000 jobs and 14,500 affordable housing opportunities. Fellow South Africans, for that to happen, it requires that each and every patriotic South African take action in our own right. For some of us, that means getting actively involved in politics and fighting against corruption, maladministration, and corruption. For others, it means volunteering our time in our communities, or even just helping our neighbors, friends, families, where we can. Small actions can have a big impact. This year, I'm asking you to take a very simple action. I'm asking you to express your democratic right to vote and remove the government that failed communities like Meriting. This simple yet powerful action can usher in a new era for South Africa. It can usher in an efficient, people-oriented government, public service that will bring prosperity to our land. People like Vuyo can speak firsthand about the differences action made in their communities. I'm asking you to allow us to make action possible across South Africa this year. On the 29th of May, Action SA will be on every ballot paper in this country. Take action alongside millions of other South Africans this year and bring change to your community. Let action lead, because only action will fix South Africa. Without any further delay, I present to you Action SA's National Campaign Advert.
Most politicians have lied to me. The ruling party made all kinds of promises. But while they get rich, we get nothing. Some parties speak of open borders. No. We can't have that. Other parties, they don't come here. They don't care about us. Only one man has ever done anything for our community. Edmund Mashaba, Mr. Fix It. As mayor of Joburg, he came and listened. He brought electricity to our community for the first time. He really cares. On the 29th of May, I'm voting for Action SA because only action will fix South Africa.